I still had my job. Um, and interesting enough, like I was in India actually for a few years, and I was doing all the analysis from there, sending the properties. Okay, this is a
Hmm.
good property. I used to come
Wow.
here for every 3 or 4 months to just refi the properties, because what was happening is Andrew was making more money than me that time as an agent. He was making a lot of money, but problem with him was 1099 job,
Hmm.
and nobody was giving loans to him. So he needed somebody like me, who has a W-2 job with a good credit. So even if I left the country, what I did when I left is I've started working with a company who wanted to start something back in India. So they actually kept me on a payroll here, and I was working from there, because I found this thing. I kind of my wife did the thing in India on her own, but I was not involved, because this thing started working suddenly for me. So what we need then, after 2 years, I came back when we were at 25 properties. Like I came back because of the management part of it. Like one person cannot, you can do like up to 10, 15, 20, but it starts going into that 20, 25 plus properties. It starts becoming a job, to collect checks, to call people, to pay mortgages. All that stuff becomes like a job. So it was becoming like a huge burden on him. So I decided to come back and start again from here. Um, but I never took my job back. So now what happened was, now I don't have income. I have income from my properties, but that's not the one which I want to touch right now, because that's my nest egg, which I want to do it. That's my retirement money, which I want to grow into that separate. So we started flipping at the same time just to run the business. And looking back, I just say, okay, why I sold all those properties. I mean, I was doing flipping in all the DuPage County that time, and properties where we were buying at like 70, 80,000, put like 20, 30, and then we are selling it to the hedge funds who are actually renting it after that on
Right.
our flips. So we will make 30, 40,000. So our strategy was make 20 to $30,000 in the flip, put back in the rental, and keep that rental portfolio growing. So we are funding our rentals on the flips,
Hmm.
and then obviously keep some money for us to live on. So this whole model started working, um, in a what we call, or what we teach these days, is like a 2-to-1 strategy. You flip two properties, so each flip, numbers are different now, but that time our number was 25,000 net profit from our flip, and we are happy. We are not looking for those 100,000 plus flips. No, that's not me. That's not us. Very small, tiny little 1,000, 1,500 square feet properties. Make 25 each. You make 50,000, and put that into a smaller rental. And that's the strategy we started working on. And anybody who is in real estate full time, who doesn't have that job, then they should do this cycle, 2-to-1. Make the two flips, put the money in rental, go back to your flips. Because, like you said, we did a lot of flips, and at the end of the day, we have nothing to show. There was nothing left. You had to start working again next day to get that money back in your pocket.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that makes sense. I actually did a video on that, like, creating active income to fuel your passive activities, and they can complement each other. So, you're probably already rehabbing these rentals. So using the same crews to do the flips, it's not like you're having to do a totally separate job. They play into each other. You've got economies of scale there. So I think that strategy is super smart.
yeah. But for somebody who's listening here who has a job, see, I look at flip as a job.
Mhm.
Flipping is basically a job. You stop working, the money stops coming to you. So it's a job. So if you have a good job, I don't leave the job. Like if I want to do it again, if I really go back and start thinking, okay, how would I have done that? Because those initial years, from 25 properties to we reached to a substantial later, those initial 2-3 years, we had not much money coming in. Like we are living at very small income, trying to sustain those 2-3 years. Which, if I had my Caterpillar job or something, I could have still done that on a side. Once you build your team, you can really do the rentals on the side. and you can keep. And if you have a job, you have a W-2 and money coming in, your papers look good, your financials look good, the things becomes very easy. So if I want to repeat this thing again, I would say that I would go back to a good job again. And once you get to a level where you start thinking, okay, I have enough income from my rentals, now that becomes a very, very good choice, a good option. Your pressure goes down on your job. You can still enjoy the job benefits, but you don't really worry about it. Tomorrow, if they say, okay, go home, okay, thank you very much, I can go home because I have the money coming from rentals, right? So
Yeah.
the whole point of view of looking at a corporate job changes if you have a good rental portfolio on the side, which you can rely on if something happens.
Yeah.
And that's why if you are not in real estate, don't change it. Keep your job, because that will help you in fund the portfolio. That will help you the financial. That will give you a W-2. It is a lot easier when you have all those pieces in place to get the portfolio going. If you don't have for some reason, yeah, I mean, it's just a harder way now, because now you have to prove everything to all these lenders. So that's where whenever I teach people or when I talk to somebody like that, we always say, okay, if you're in real estate, do the 2-to-1 policy, 2-to-1 model, where you have two flips going on, separate some money and do your rental. That's your 2-1. If you're already in something job, then just don't worry. Just don't look at flip at all. Just start looking in rentals and just keep one rental after the next one.
Yeah, that's great advice. I always recommend the same thing. And I think the question that a lot of people have, they understand that what you just said, they on the surface, they understand it. But the whole reason they're getting into rentals is to eventually leave the job. A lot of people don't like their job. So I can imagine, even, in retrospect now, people looking at you probably say, oh, it was easy for you to leave your job, but I can imagine there's probably a lot of nerves around it. You're in a new country, and, you still have a family to support and all that. So a lot of people will ask, when is the right time to finally leave the job? What's that point where, you recommend that it makes sense?
If I'm just concentrated on the rentals, I won't leave my job. I'll just keep it. That's just a good insurance. But anyway, what you can do is, like, there's a thing which we do with all our people is we come with, okay, what is a lifetime property number? And this is just a term we came up with. Okay, so everybody has a different life, like a living standards or lifestyle. And so when we say lifestyle property number is, okay, you come up with your fixed expenses, like come up with your monthly thing. Okay, I can live successfully, or I live no problems with paying all my bills, doing my whatever the vacations I do. I have mortgage, I have kids, I have cars, this thing. Come up with that, and then just divide by the number of properties. So what we generally do, and this is for Chicago market, and it's true in a lot of the big markets, where you can, once you paid off your rentals, you can get somewhere into 700 to 800 property. And I'm talking about a very small little houses, 3-bedroom, 1 bath, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. The rent somewhere into range of 1,500 plus minus 200-300, depends on the market. Chicago obviously has more taxes, so where our rents are high, but the cash flow comes back to the same number. Where you go to Indiana, you go to Florida, you go to Texas, taxes are low, but rents are low. So really that delta is the same thing. So for anybody who's thinking about that, be realistic. I always like numbers. I'll always like something on a paper which I can look at it and say, okay, yeah, if I hit this number, I'll feel comfortable. That's just me. Like, everybody's different. So lifestyle property number, come up with, okay, can you survive in $4,000 a month? Can you survive in $6,000 a month? Come up with that, divided by number of properties. But it has to be paid off properties. So now that's what the other thing I always want to tell people is, when you're working and you have a side cash flow coming from your properties, don't touch that cash. Don't live on that until it actually gets to a point where it works on its own. So, like, generally Andrew will say, or I'll say, like, if you keep your properties 5 years,
Mhm.
The property will take care of you afterwards. But you have to give the property 5 years to get to a point where the mortgages are way below the normal. So let's say you started at 75%, whatever extra cash flow you make, you keep paying it off. Bring that ratio down, your loan to value. And I'm talking too much numbers. Maybe I'm just a number guy.
No,
Sorry.
it makes a lot of sense.
So the loan to value, if you can bring it down below 50 for your portfolio, and it appreciates also. So now you get both benefits of keeping the property for a long time, so it appreciates, and you're paying off your loan down. It goes down to 50, then you start feeling that cash flow really coming into account. You can
Yeah.
see that effect when you go down to 50% LTV. So I would say that's the number. Everybody has a different lifestyle. Get to basics. Okay, I want 5,000 a month. I want 6,000 a month. Whatever your number is, divided by those properties you have, and then once you reach there, a lot of options will open up. Like I said, you'll start enjoying your job more because your pressure will go down.
Yeah.
So you get just more options once you reach that point.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about that. I think people go to work differently when they rely on that job, and they are fearful that if something happened today and they lost that job, they'd be, struggling to pay their bills, as opposed to they're going to work because they enjoy the job and it's their choice to go to work, and they act differently, they carry themselves differently. So I think that's a great point that you bring up.